welcome to the Paranormal Portal, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show. We are thrilled you're here. We're thrilled to have you. We're thrilled to be able to talk to you now. We've just relocated the studio. It's just all set up. It was a hell of a job, but we got it done. I think everything's looking great, but apparently it wasn't working great. So now it's working. So I'm really apologize, but thanks for sticking with us and not going away and not fleeing for the hills because this certainly hasn't started off the way that it should have, but we're here now. Everything's looking good. Are you guys hearing us okay? Yes, awesome. Okay. Thanks so much for the feedback in the chat there, guys. Appreciate it.
We need you.
It wouldn't be the Paranormal Portal without some kind of chaos breaking loose for us. And clearly something like moving the studio, while it should have been an A to A kind of deal, everything was connected exactly as it was taken down. But it's... and I had tested all the equipment. I thought everything was working. But then again, once the rubber hits the road, you find out exactly what you're dealing with. So, first of all, happy Valentine's Day. We love you guys a bunch. I appreciate you guys being here. We have some kind of Valentine's-y stories to relate to you, but this is mostly about those of us that just love the paranormal. Here we are. We love it so much, and they say to celebrate Valentine's Day, you should spend it with those you love.
And here we are.
And we love you guys. No, yeah, seriously. I do love you, but I really apologize for that really terrible beginning. I should have done a test stream before, but, you know, me and my ability to troubleshoot and plan ahead is always a thing of mystery and intrigue and such. But thanks for being here, and thanks for coming and spending your Valentine's with us. I don't know. I don't know if it's Valentine's around the world, or is that just a U.S. thing?
You know, actually, I think...
It's a global thing, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure England and maybe France. Francia.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I should be a much more worldly person, but, I mean, I know our Independence Day obviously is different, and other holidays are varying times of the year depending on where you are, so... I believe Valentine's Day is kind of a whole world thing. If you love to love, then this is your day. So, Don, what do you think of the new studio?
I'm liking it. It's a lot more cozy.
Mm-hmm.
I still think there's way too much light, but, you know, that's me. So there you go. But
you were a bat in a previous light or something.
I must have been. Yeah, definitely that. But no, I mean, I like it a lot better. It sounds good in here. It's quieter, so got all that.
We can now not have to deal, and I love my little boy with all of my heart, but there are some times when you just can't hear your child enough, and then there are other times when you hear them far too much, and when you're broadcasting a show is not the time you want him to be screaming that he has to go to potty. So, which, of course, many of the previous broadcasts had picked that up. So now we're in a different location, and everything's wonderful. It's got the beautiful flickering candles behind us. And I'm just really thrilled with it. I'm really happy, and it's exciting. There's a lot of things going on with the portal as well, ladies and gentlemen, that we're really excited about. On March 3rd, now this is for the Bigfoot enthusiasts out there. If you're into the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the whole cryptid scene, you're going to love this. Now pay attention, hold on, sit back, make sure that you're in a well-seated position, because it nearly knocked me on my butt when I learned about this earlier when it was all set up. But on March 3rd, we're going to have, as a guest on the show, Mr. Jim King, also otherwise known as Bear, who is one of the premier Bigfoot researchers in the entire country. Yeah. This guy lives, eats, and breathes. He knows so much. I talked to him on the phone today for the first time, and it was like I was talking to an old buddy that I'd known forever. He's just one of those guys. He's got that southern charm, just real smooth, easy, and And he talked to me like I was somebody he knew forever. So it's going to be a great show, and I'm really looking forward to it. So definitely mark your calendars on March 3rd. We're going to have the bear on the portal. So you you don't want to miss that. I mean, I don't want to miss it. Thank God I'm going to be here. I'm going to be doing it. I won't have to miss it. But that is just about the most exciting thing in a long time.
Absolutely.
And a special thank you to our friend and additionally a very well-rounded and experienced Bigfoot researcher, Mrs. Cindy Goodbrake, rather. She was been on the show before, and we're going to get her on again at some point. But she helped make this connection for us, and I can't tell you, Cindy, how much I appreciate it. I'm absolutely bowled over, and I'm in your debt. That's a wonderful connection, and it wouldn't have been possible without you. So thank you so much on behalf of both myself and the show. That'll be a wonderful experience to talk to the bear. So don't miss that show, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a guy who literally his whole life he's been around these things. He's so far into their head as far as behaviorally what's going on. He knows the sounds. He knows what they're doing. He knows why they're doing it, and his advice is just amazing. Like I said, we talked for about 2 hours today, and it was hard to even hang up then. I mean, like it could have gone for, the rest of the day. It was just, he had so much information and so fun to talk to. So looking forward to that. I just want to start putting that out there now because I want you guys to be able to, plan ahead. Again, March 3rd, here on the portal, which will be a Saturday night. It'll be at 10 p.m. Pacific time until midnight. So it'll be a late night show for some of you guys out there, but hopefully you make it.
And if you don't, you can always catch it on the replay because we're going to stream it. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, that's the beauty of these YouTube streams. It will be streamed. It'll be in the TFR Live archives as well. So TFRlive.com, of course, they are our parent station, and they are the reason the portal exists at all. So
right, exactly, yeah.
But so that'll be coming up.
Excitement coming up.
Woo-hoo. So not only do we have a new location, but we're I don't know, just the whole spectrum of the show is just becoming so much more dynamic, and it's really exciting time. So mark your calendars. But this is our Valentine's show, and it's not necessarily about love, but we got a few stories to share with you about that as well. Now, unfortunately, you're going to see on the screen that there's a call-in number on the bottom. That's for the Friday, Saturday shows. So unfortunately, if you try to call now, that number will not work. It won't work. So, I mean, it will. You'll get a hold of somebody's show, but it won't be this one because that of course, is the TFR Live call-in number. Yep. And whoever is broadcasting now on TFR Live, I think it's Gematria. The Gematria show was Zach Hubbard.
Yeah, it sounds right.
So his show is on now. So if you call now, you better be prepared to talk numbers. And he's a great guy. He's very knowledgeable in all that, but it definitely won't work to get a hold of us here in the Portal Studios.
Portal. You can't get to the portal on Wednesdays on the phone.
There is no portal number tonight. So we got that going for you. But, we are, of course, in the chat here, in the YouTube chat. If you have a question or have anything you want to say, let us know, and Don will keep watching for that. Yep. But here we are. Let's get into this material at hand.
Do it.
So, of course, Valentine's love. Some people love Valentine's Day. Some people hate Valentine's Day. Some people think it's an exploitative holiday just set up to make people buy more stuff. And they're probably right. I know that. I mean, God, it wasn't much past New Year's that I started seeing Valentine's Day stuff. It was like January 2nd.
Oh, yeah.
At the store. Yeah. It'd be like you go in and all of a sudden the Valentine's Day setup is up. And it's like, oh, my God, they just can't wait to shove more stuff down you.
Hey, there's Doc Kayak.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
And he stole my thunder. I was going to say it was Single Awareness Day as well. SAD, it's a sad day. Single Awareness Day.
What the hell does that mean?
Well, that's for people who don't have a Valentine.
Oh,
goodness.
Gotcha. Well, if you happen to be in this Valentine's Day without someone you love, you're just with us.
Love the ones you're with.
That's a 10 on the cliche meter.
Ah, but it was so right up my alley.
It was. That was so dry. I need something to drink.
Yep.
That's the beauty of the show, ladies and gentlemen. The humor's free.
Oh, boy.
But anyway, so tonight I am going to start off with a story about love after death. Unbelievable love story of a ghost. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I can't speak to the authenticity or factual nature of these or not. I can't speak to their, what is the word I'm looking for?
Provenance.
Okay, well I can't tell you for sure they're true. I'll just break
Let's
it
not get
down.
that fancy word.
Yeah, too many syllables. I can't tell you whether or not they're true, but I thought it would be a good thing to read. I got to quit smacking my lips. I just keep doing that. You hear that, Don?
Yeah, I sure do.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Good God.
Did it give you shivers?
You're going to lose mic privileges pretty quick.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So this is a real story of a young college girl who passed away last month in Chandigarh. Her name was Priya. She was hit by a truck. Ugh,
Oh.
that's sad. She isn't working in a call center. She has a boyfriend named Shankar. Both of them are true lovers. They always hang on the phone. You can never see her without her handphone, rather. Handsome.
Oh, okay. That too.
It's another beautiful job of website design where it's a white page
Oh, wow.
with gray lettering.
And it's all justified left.
Yeah, it's left justified as well. And there's like, I don't know, this is made with like in the 80s. Anyway, you can never see her without her hand phone. In fact, she also changed her phone from, what the hell does that matter? Airtel to Vodafone. So both of them can be in the same network and save on the cost.
Oh, okay.
This clearly wasn't written by any kind of literary person. She spends half the day talking with Shankar. Priya's family knows about their relationship. Shankar is very close with Priya's family. Just imagine their love. This is, I don't know. Sorry, I mean it could be very tragic and true, but it's just really sappy so far. Before she passed away, she always told her friends, if I pass away, please burn me with my handphone. She also said the same thing to her parents. After her death, people couldn't. Do you see how that's spelled?
No.
They spelled it C-U-D-N-T. Couldn't
Oh.
carry her body. I was there. A lot of them tried to do so, but still can't. Everybody, including me, had tried to carry the body. The result is still the same. Eventually, they called a person who know to one of their neighbors who can speak with the soul of the dead person, who is a friend of her father. He took a stick and started speaking to himself slowly. After a few minutes, he said, "The girl misses something here." Then her friends told that person that about her intentions to burn her with her phone. He then opened the grave box and placed her phone and SIM card inside the casket. After that, they tried to carry the body. It could be moved, and they carried it into the van very easily. All of us were shocked. Priya's parents did not inform Shankar that Priya had passed away. After 2 weeks, Shankar called Priya's mom. Shankar said, "Auntie, I'm coming home today. Cook something nice for me. Don't tell Priya that I'm coming home today. I want to surprise her." Her mother replied, "You come home first. I want to tell you something very important." After he came home, they told him the truth about Priya. Shankar thinks that they were playing a fool, or a joke on him, I guess. He was laughing and said, "Don't try to fool me. Tell Priya to come out. I have a gift for her. Please, stop. This is nonsense." Then they show him the original death certificate to him. They gave him proof to make him believe. Shankar started to sweat. He said, "It's not true. We spoke yesterday. She still calls me." Shankar was shaking. Suddenly, Shankar's phone rang. "See, this is from Priya. See this?" He showed the phone to Priya's family, and all of them told him to answer. He talked using the loudspeaker mode. All of them heard his conversation, loud and clear, no cross lines, no humming. It is the actual voice of Priya, and there is no way others could use her SIM card since it is nailed inside of the grave box. They were so shocked and asked for the same persons who can speak with the soul of the dead persons to help again. He brought his master to solve this matter. Anyway, he and his master worked for 5 hours. Then they discovered one thing which really shocked them. Um, that's the whole story.
What was that one thing?
I don't know.
How anticlimactic.
I looked like it was going to be a good story, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really sorry. That wasn't a sleeper for sure. That was horrible.
Yeah, I think they used Google Translate on that one too.
I think they did, and they forgot the next page. Anyway, Don, you got a story?
Sure.
Take it away, Don.
You know what? Let's do this one. Come here. All right. Let's do this. Okay, so this quick story, it's called Ghost in Love with Me, I Need Help. I need help with something I'm experiencing. I've had experiences with ghosts and spirits for as long as I can remember. Receiving messages, sensing them, hearing them, sometimes even seeing them. But this is something that has never happened to me before. I was born pyrophobic. I also have a phobia of severe burns because I have associated them with pain and torture. Especially until my mid-teens, I have frequently had dreams of violence, fire, and me, sometimes others, being burnt alive. Wow. As a little kid, I also had a few visions of a woman and one man that were badly burned all over. And now, the ghost of the man who is burnt all over keeps trying to contact me through various means, from appearing in a dream to actually talking to me and even making physical contact. I always know when he is around on the way or another, one way or another. At first, he just appeared in dreams. Then I began seeing plenty of signs in the real world. He warns me about things, mostly through blocks of thought and loud buzzings in my ear. But sometimes also by saying just one or two words out loud. He tries very often to make physical contact. Recently, after coming in contact with him, I got a regular heartbeat. It wouldn't stop for 3 days. It was very intense, and I was really scared that something would happen to me. Also, there was a time he told me he doesn't have a heart. I want to know if a ghost can really cause physical harm, as well as how to tell what he may really want for me or how I can help him. I wanted to write a few details about my experience with him, but the administrators discarded my story because of the last time. Well, I don't care about that. But there you go. So she thinks he's in love with her.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, we've stumbled onto those stories every once in a while in the portal where, you get those creepy ones where they're kind of creeping into the bed and being touched and all kinds of weirdness.
Well, that's like the other story I pulled up that I'm not sure if I want to read or not.
Uh-oh. It's one of those, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you want to keep it family friendly.
Well, some of them are just weird. It's like, the whole intimacy with ghost things for me is just, I'm all for keeping an open mind about things, but at some point you just got to go, there's
how weird is that?
There's the paranormal, and then there's just the unstable.
The unstable.
And I swear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I know these legends have been around forever. You talk about incubus, you talk about succubus. And so there is a source going way back in time, or sources about encounters with these kind of spirits. I guess that's, possible, but still, that's, I don't know.
It's actually unbelievable.
Right.
It just really borders on unbelievable. The stories. Some of these stories are like, really? You gotta be joking me. And it's like,
yeah, exactly. And I don't mind reading pretty much anything on the show as long as it's decent and won't like just outright offend people, because that's not what I want for the show.
right.
There are those stories out there. There is those weird things out there that, certainly would qualify as paranormal, but it's just like at the same time, I don't know. Is it possible that people could have intimate relationships with ghosts?
All you got to do is ask Demi Moore.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. But I know what you mean. It was like a popular movie, right?
Yes.
So it's something that it's not like it could never, ever, ever happen. But it's just it's one thing to say you have a ghost, and even that can be a stretch for a lot of people to get their head around. But to say, not only do I have a ghost, but we're in love. That's just like, it's like putting ketchup on a chocolate sundae or something. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't
Macaroni
feel
and
right.
cheese.
Wait, well, I mean, some people love ketchup on everything. You
do.
know what I'm saying, but
I like ketchup on mac and cheese.
okay. Which is good for you, I guess. But you know what I mean. It's like there's some points where you have to at least make a judgment call in the realm of paranormal. It's like, could it be? Maybe. I don't know. It's way out there, but is it possible?
Way
Sure.
too far out there for me.
Well, I hear you, and I tend to be that way too, quite honestly. But I know I don't know. But I certainly don't want to give that a lot of airtime either. You know, on the show, like, oh, love affairs with ghosts. You know, and sometimes we stumble on them by accident. And it's like, oh God, you know, you're just reading like sentence to sentence, and then you hit that one, and you go,
Oh gosh, no. Just can't do it.
It's like holding your breath. It's like, oh shoot, it's one of those. And I've interrupted many stories that way, just going, I can't read anymore. I'm sorry, this is just too weird. So,
Oh, I've done it too on the short time, you know.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, and that was the hard part about finding relevant stories for tonight's show
Yeah.
that would be at least in the Hollywood theme or the Valentine theme, but then you know, I don't want to go to that creepy road. You know, that's
Right.
just odd. You know, and what are the how do you? I don't know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show as usual, and so we'll continue on here. I'm just checking everything while Don was reading there. It looks good, and sorry for that first lame story, but you guys are so forgiving in the chat room. That's awesome. I don't know, who writes this stuff, So I did at least try to find something that had to do with Valentine's Day, and that's what I got. So.
So remember that. That's all that he got. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm just going to keep going ahead. I'm going forward. Just like this. La, 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 la. Photographic evidence. I am a mental health therapist.
Oh, okay.
One of my schizophrenic... God, jeez. I talked to Bear too long today. It's like my mouth doesn't work. One of my schizophrenic clients said he was seeing a girl in his room, and he said she was talking to him. We believed it to be a hallucination as he was living alone. The doctor I was with decided to challenge his delusion and had him take a picture of her so we could meet her. During the next visit, he brought a picture, and yes, she was there. To our astonishment and horror, there was a picture of him on the couch with a strange, creamy, ghost-like image of a girl hovering behind him.
Huh.
Shrouding him in white-like wings of hair, very light in color, but subtle, shimmering image. What was eerie was seeing him sitting on the couch with his head down, very depressed looking. She was literally haunting him.
Ah.
All our jaws hit the floor. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone examining the picture, we could tell it was real. Dude was very low functioning and could not have shopped it. Things got real. We were haunted. The doctor, in utter amazement, knew medication wouldn't treat this and said, I can't help you with this. You guys are going to need to see your clergy for this. Yeah, that's true. There's some things you can medicate and some things you can't. And you can't medicate a haunting. You can medicate your reaction to hauntings, but you can't medicate away a haunting.
Unfortunately, you can't medicate away stupid either. Sorry. So random thoughts. I'm sorry.
Just
free
well,
association.
I think you can at least treat the symptom, so you can give them enough that they can't talk stupid. So it's not, you can't give it a cure, but you at least can treat the symptoms of it, like having to listen to stupid people. Just throwing it out there. I think that's
Okay.
possible treatment.
Duct tape.
Yeah, exactly. The masked old man. The masked old man. Once I was staying over at a friend's house, and he was was sleeping in her bed. She had a large double bed pushed up against the wall, so we both slept in there. I slept with my back facing the room that night, and with my friend sleeping next to me. About midway through the night, I start having this very elaborate dream about work. The dream wasn't anything significant, just something stupid. Then as it progressed, it became more ominous. A man wearing a mask similar to a Japanese kabuki mask
Okay.
was chasing me around the workplace, attempting to kill me. Then at some point I began to wake up as I felt someone standing directly behind me. The dream progressed again, and the man has found me. At this point, my wakeful state began to set in further as I could feel someone gently stroking my hair. Terrified, I lay there, slightly disoriented as I was still somewhat in my dream. Then I hear a gravelly voice from behind me say, "Hello, little girl."
Oh,
Hey.
no.
And a number of other things I can't remember, as well as the sensation of someone still stroking my hair. Jeez, that's creepy. I am fully awake at this point, but lying as still as can be, with my eyes pressed shut, fearing for my life. Finally, I mustered up the courage to sit up in bed and look around the room. There was no one there. To this day, I can still remember the deep, gravelly sound of his voice. The thing that made it real for me was when I told the dream to my friend. She recounted several harrowing tales of seeing an older man spirit wandering around her house.
Ah,
Well,
wow.
geez,
Yeah.
that'll do it.
Now they're house hopping.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's horrible. I mean, you're already in such a vulnerable state when you're sleeping, and then to think that there's somebody just sitting there looking at you.
I know. That's creepy too.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Well, is it one of those portal things? That she's or well, they never really said that it was the same one. They just said it was a creepy guy in the other house too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just creepy guys.
So maybe it's just a haunting of opportunity.
Yeah. The next one is Trish is in it. On the night my mother died, at about 7 p.m., her very old grandfather, about 99, was getting ready for bed in a nursing home about 200 miles away. He was just about to get into bed when he stopped and said he couldn't because Trish was in it and sat patiently at his bedside chair. At about 10 past 7, he smiled and said, "She's gone now," and got into bed. This was witnessed by an aunt. I wonder if when people die, they don't give out some kind of final communication. I was with my mom and when she died, but she didn't speak to me, though. So who knows? Very interesting. That sounds familiar. I think I might have read that one on another show. Sorry if that's a repeat, ladies and gentlemen. I I always do my best not to reread the same material, but again, these stories tend to get duplicated all across the net, so it's hard to find fresh material sometimes. Let's see. When I was about 13 or 14, I lived in a normal block house in a suburban neighborhood with my family. We were told by the previous tenants that her husband had died in the house, but we weren't told specifically where. One night when I turned the lights off to go to sleep, I hear a loud rustling noise and then a bang that caused me to jump up and turn on the lights. Everyone in the house heard it and ran to the hallway to see if I was okay. As I looked into my room to see what the noise was, I saw my jewelry box, which had a set of doors on the front, which latched shut, fully open, with the drawers hanging open. I threw that thing in the closet so quick and never pulled it out to use it again. I still heard things in that house. One night, I was watching something funny on TV in my room and heard a man, seemingly sitting right next to me, laugh in my ear as clear as day. It wasn't from the TV. Was she watching a comedy or, was he checking it out with her? You never know. I mean, what else do they have to do, right?
Netflix and chill.
That's about as chill as you can get, isn't it?
Yeah, that's, yeah. Well, hey, it is what it is.
I think being room temperature is about as chilly as you can get. I have no pulse. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Always fun here on the portal. Oh, man, this is a long one. Do you got another one you want to read, Don?
Sure.
I need a breather before this one. I think I'm going to try to blow it up first, too.
Oh, yeah, so you can actually read it?
Yeah, so it's actually, font bigger than 1.
Okay. It has been death and the love of it. Let me see. Hold on just a sec. In love with the ghost, yeah. It has been death and a love of it. I've only familiarized myself with it all too much. Not only does it depress me, but a deep fascination grips me as well. I have researched paranormal in every way by reading books, researching online, practicing rituals, watching television shows, and visiting my hometown's most haunted locations. Nothing in my life has fascinated me more. If anything, my career would be of a paranormal investigator. There's so much we don't know, and I know this is what invited him into my house. I've always wanted to live in a haunted house, not with a demon or any angry spirits, just restless spirits with their somber presence that only seem to intrigue humanity. I always wished and have openly asked that a spirit come wandering into my home. Never did I think it would I would be hopelessly in love with one. Oh boy. Brown chicken, brown can.
Get the Chuck Wah guitars.
It must have been all the places I've been to, haunted locations. Maybe I conjured the spirit up. Maybe I attracted him. Apparently so. I came home from school one day, as usual, my backpack slung on the back of one of the kitchen chairs, home alone until my mother got home from work. I sat in a chair and turned around to face the window, looking outside. One of our table chairs slid out and turned around facing me all on its own.
Ooh.
I was terrified and ran back to the front door. I didn't run outside. My hand nervously gripped the door handle as I took in what just happened. The way the chair turned on its own, it didn't seem threatening. I'm not sure why, but I walked back to the kitchen and, despite my chattering teeth, took a seat in the chair. I stared at the empty chair, trying to visualize whatever I could. Then I started to see it, the outline, a hazy shade of a human form. It took a while of staring at the figure, and the longer I looked, the better it came to me visually. It looked like a teenage boy, no older than myself. Then it disappeared altogether. I blinked, truly fascinated by what I had just seen. Later that night, I got ready for bed and sat on the side of the bed, flipping through the TV channels. It was weird now that I think about it. I started to feel very cold and became unbearably cold around my waist. There was a pressure around my waist as well. I was shocked but shifted a bit, and the spot where I was sitting became unbelievably cold too. It felt like I was sitting in someone's lap and they had their arms around me. The pressure from the hug, in quotes, hug, was treated very gingerly. And I will honestly say that I liked it. Uh-oh. The hug lasted for only about 5 minutes, and then it vanished. All cold pressure vanished, and it casually faded. I said aloud, for I did not want the spirit to go, that I wanted it to stay. But I had no further interactions for the remainder of that month. I think that it started to become active again at least a month and a half ago. I had started to think that I only imagined the whole thing. I had been reading, sitting in a plush chair in my bedroom when I felt a cold pressure on my wrist, which was being held forcefully yet gingerly against the arm of a chair. Alarmed, I looked up and saw the apparition clearly, like I had thought it was a teenage boy, maybe around a year and a half older than I was. His hair was black and bushy. His eyes were a hazy green. From what I could tell, he was athletic looking. His pale face had a pointed chin. A name whispered in my mind. It was Jacques. I never expected anything like this to happen. The ghost leaned forward and kissed me passionately. I was shocked, surprised, and pleased all at the same time.
Okay.
For the rare, I think rare, few of you, when kissing a ghost, it involves a yawning motion of the mouth.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Getting specific and everything.
Your lips will feel very, very cold, but from my experience, it's much better than kissing someone who is alive. Again, I admit... I admit that I like this experience particularly. After at least 30 seconds, the sensation of the kiss vanished. I had a current happening similar to the story I've written here. A few days ago, I came home and had worried all day that my mother had got home before I did and found that my room was a mess and that my bed was unmade. My mother's a bit of a neat freak. I was surprised to find my room tidy. My bed was well made. My mom had beaten me home. I had snuck past her. The way the bed was made was different from the way my mom makes it, and the way I do as well. I figured it was her and tossed my book bag onto the bed with the small greetings to Jacques, who by now I'm used to seeing and hearing every morning and afternoon, and walked downstairs. My mom came home before I had and was typing on her laptop in her room. She thanked me for cleaning up my room and complimented on the style which the bed had been made. It had been made the way people made beds from when Jacques had been alive, if he ever was.
Ooh.
Just as my mother had said this, a very cold breeze blew past my right arm. I'm not sure how this was possible, but I detected an air of smugness. I love Jacques and love him hanging around. There you go. She loves Jacques. How Jacquing.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I went there.
Sorry.
Oh, that's good. That's a good
Thank
one.
you. Thank you very much.
Ah.
Yeah, I've got skills, ladies and gentlemen.
They just need to pay the bills, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
You know, the thing is that that's one of those stories that you just feel like you need a shower afterwards, and he's gonna wash it off you.
Toothbrush, you know.
Well, at least the dude made the bed and picked up the room. Now
yeah, well, you know.
that's my thing. If you're gonna be haunting, you might as well drag a vacuum around and stuff every once in a while. You know, it's like that idea of at least pitch in. Don't just stand in a corner watching us eat.
Or
know?
anything else.
Well, yeah, well, right. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, God, just, pay the rent. Let's go. I don't know. That was a weird story, though, dude. That truly was.
It was definitely
And
interesting.
I saw the doc really liked it. He was anxiously waiting for the next section. And Brian, welcome to the show,
Yeah,
brother. I'm glad you
absolutely.
made it in. It's Brian is a friend from Facebook, and
Yep.
we correspond every once in a while. And good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping in for as long as you can. I think you said you got to leave for work, but it's always a pleasure. Hey, Don, you want to give shout-outs to people that are here? Do
absolutely.
you have an idea who's all here?
Well, let's see what we can do here. So we know we got Galactic Pixie, we got Doc Kayak, we got Lewis, we got Wolfen. That's a new name to me.
Nice.
That's not one I've seen before. Of course, we've got Brian that we were just talking to.
Mm-hmm.
D Swigger, Taz is here. Hi, Taz. How are you?
Taz.
Let's see
Hey, D.
here. And Ken, of course, can't forget our Aussie friend Ken. He's here as well.
Down under.
Let's see here, and I think that's actually
Got Paranormal Underworld.
Oh yes, that's right. And White Noise, I think Paranormal White Noise is here too.
Underworld and White Noise.
What?
I saw Paranormal Underworld.
Underworld. Okay.
Yep. But
Yeah, I just saw it for a second, so I'm backing up here. But
okay.
if I missed you or mispronounced you, just let me know.
Yeah, let us know in the chat room if you were here but did not get recognized.
Because roll call is important.
That's right. We do offer points for attendance.
Oh, and T-Fetch.
Oh, T-Fetch,
Yes.
welcome. Welcome all you guys. Thanks for being
absolutely.
here. And yeah, if you're not I was going to say something and it's gone. There you go. Happens. I'm getting that old timers.
Oh, and Charlie. Hey, Charlie, where's Molly?
Charlie, well, yeah. Charlie, Molly, cool.
All right, cool. So there you go.
Sorry,
Shout-outs.
I like to give you guys shout-outs when you come in because that's really cool, and I really appreciate when you guys stop whatever it is you're doing and come on and hang out with
decide
us.
to come hang out with us. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Not at all, dude. It's like it's like having a barbecue with friends, except there's no food.
Yeah. Well,
We'll give you things to chew on, to think about.
Oh, yes, it is Paranormal Underworld. Sorry about that.
Yep.
I thought it was White Noise, but that's okay. Hopefully, they'll join us later as well.
Well, we're here.
There you go.
We're here. So, yeah, just definitely spread the word.
Yes.
And everyone here, please subscribe if you haven't already.
And share and like and
do
all that stuff.
Do all that fun stuff.
And
So,
subscribe, ring the bell,
so the next
smash
one is.
those buttons.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Okay. Next one is most haunted family. I'm pretty sure I am actually the only person in my family that does not have a personal ghost story. I find my family to be very intelligent people who would not make this stuff up, but it's also hard to imagine something that you yourself have never experienced. So there are some of their stories or so here are some of their stories, which are very creepy. My mother lived in a haunted house when she was very young. They they feel that there was more than one spirit in the house. Apparently, the house had a colored history. Once my mother woke up in the middle of the night and a dark figure was messing with the items on the bedside table. She assumed it was my grandmother and asked her what she was doing. A voice in her head told her to go back to sleep, and she did. The next morning, she asked her mother what she had been doing in her room that night, and my grandmother confirmed that it was not her in there. They considered their parents' room, I believe, to be the most haunted. Once my mother and uncle were, I guess, having some sort of endurance contest and were hiding under the bed covers. They could hear something playing with the vacuum cleaner, and my mom just bolted, leaving my uncle to suffer alone.
Oh boy.
Harsh. That's harsh. He finally springs out of the bed and runs and literally dives off the top of a rather steep stairwell and then proceeds to float
Wow.
to the bottom of the stairs, where my grandpa just happens to be waiting with open arms. They all swear there was no way he would have been able to jump all those steps.
Huh.
Another time, my mom was kind of a tomboy and was outside getting beat up by some neighborhood boys, and she looked up at her house and could see what she believed was my grandpa just sitting in his study window watching, and she couldn't figure out why he wasn't helping her. When she finally got inside and confronted him, he swore up and down that he hadn't been in his study all day long. Apparently, they had a babysitters that would run out of the house in the middle of the night because of scary things that happened.
Nice.
In the later years, when I was about 10 or so, my mom worked at a local restaurant after closing, cleaning up the place. It was always rumored the place was haunted, and she had so many scary experiences that she eventually wouldn't even go alone. So my stepfather started going with her and experienced some of the craziness himself. She would put up all the chairs and the tables, turn around briefly, and turn back, and they would all be back down again. Oh, man.
Wow, that's quick too.
That's harsh. I mean, she just worked and did that. It's like, nope, do it again. But apparently the ghost's favorite game was running in and out of the large metal door to the kitchen.
Oh no.
One night it kept happening over and over and over again until finally my stepfather put a tall metal bread rack in front of the door. A few minutes later, they heard a loud bang and went to check. Something had run into the door so hard it left a dent from the door hitting the bread rack on the other side.
Wow.
The only other one I can think of comes from my older sister. She lived alone in an old apartment complex, also rumored to be haunted. She said that she was washing her face in the sink one night and looked into the mirror to see another face behind her. She said that she was calm and told them that she didn't mind sharing the space as long as they left her alone and didn't try and scare her or something like that. And that's a perfect example of, on many times on the show, I talk about claiming your space. And many experts, I mean, it's not my idea. It's certainly something that I've heard from other investigators, but I do believe that that's true. I believe that you need to claim your space. You need to potentially communicate and say, all right, this isn't okay. I don't mind this, but never this and this. You know, I mean, if you lay out the parameters, a lot of times, if you believe in ghosts, you have to believe that they, you know, could possibly have been human beings themselves.
Right.
Now, that's not universal. I mean, there's many spiritual entities that were probably never human and so on and so forth. But as they were people, however they were in life, they're going to be probably in death is the belief. And so most of the times you talk to people reasonably, you'll get a reasonable response, you know? So, I mean, I wouldn't, try to, Schwarzenegger it or anything. Just be like, this is my space. I'm okay with you being here as long as you're of love and light and, mean no harm. But never scare me, never mess with my, whatever that is. And so on and so forth. And most people have gotten really great results that way, especially in human type of hauntings. Now, in the non-human things, good luck. They may or may not respond to that.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also jerks, right? So there's people that were jerks in life, and they're jerks after death. It's like, I don't know. Takes all types. So the next one is just a short one, and it's Uncle Joe. My brother Joel was killed in an ATV accident a little over 4 years ago. My daughter has just turned 3, and she kept waking up in the middle of the night and coming into my room. When I would take her back to bed and ask her why she was getting up, she would reply, "The guy in my room." She would always point to the corner that her dresser was in and swore there was a guy in her room. It wasn't long after that she was always talking about Uncle Joe. She never met him. Really weird. Yep, kids, I'm telling you, they're wide open for this kind of stuff.
Super sensitives.
They are. They're naturally sensitive.
Sensitives.
That's right. They are. And they don't have all the filters and garbage that we have. And, they're just wide open. Everything's alive to a kid. And sometimes they're right. So don't, if your child ever comes up to you, don't kill that in them.
Nurture it in some way.
Yeah.
Teach them how to deal with it the right way.
I was sharing on a recent show something I've caught myself doing with my little one. It's like, he would say, I'm scared. What are you scared of? Monster. And initially, my response was, come on, there's no monster. Don't be silly. And then I had to stop myself. It's like, wait a minute. I'm doing that to him. And of course, my instinct and my intention was never to shut that down in him, but it was just to say, no, don't be afraid. You're fine. Right. But it came out as, no, there's no monster. And so I had to rephrase that and say, well, you know what? I'll go in there with you. We'll go together. It'll be okay. And then he was fine. So, but I have to watch that because I don't want to be that parent that's, it's all in your head. You're just imagining it and, turn that off in him.
Stop it.
Not that I, need my child to be seeing spirits either, but if it's something he is experiencing, I certainly don't want to, close his mind down.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So the haunted theater is next.
Haunted theater.
When visiting my sister's college, she sent me into the theater to get some stuff for her. It was dark and the building was locked, but she eventually lent me her keys. Or no, she just lent me the keys. Sorry, I was just had my mind in another place, but I'm back now. Now, she told me the place had a reputation for being haunted, but being the skeptic I am, I took the keys and hustled off without second thoughts. I let myself in, headed to the closet she said her stuff was in, and someone walked up behind me. No kidding. I could hear the footsteps, feel the floorboards move, and hear them creak. Heck, I could even hear the rustle of fabric moving. And there was just that indefinable sense of there being someone else there. How you can tell when someone's walked into a room even if you didn't really see or hear them. Yeah, well, I turned around fully expecting to have to explain why I was in a locked building after hours, and there was no one there. After I pooped myself, I started singing at the top of my lungs to mask the now ominous silence, grabbed my sister's stuff, and bolted out of the building. My sister apologized for days, and I never went into that building alone again, day or night.
No kidding.
Nope. He noped out.
He noped on out of there.
He did.
Got to nope out.
The weirdness is next. This is another long one. But we got time, ladies and gentlemen. That's the beauty of these Wednesday streams is that we don't have to squeeze things into, a half-hour segment. So the floor is just wide open. So the weirdness is next. We moved to our house in 1970 when I was 5. The weirdness started pretty much straight away. The first night we were there, my dad's watch, a typical 1970s stainless steel brick of a thing, which he always put on his bedside table, was found in the morning to be completely dismantled, like someone had taken a lump hammer to it. Even the main spring had been stretched out, all 18 inches from my sleeping dad's head. Wow, all that happened just inches from his dad's head. Over the next 40 years, we'd had all kinds of weirdness, from sudden temperature drops to cold spots, which moved. I regularly had to move my bed around every month or so. The cold spots is talking about, which were so extreme I could remember my breath condensing in June. One evening, we came home and found the hatch to the attic ajar. It was never open normally, and there were muddy paw prints all around it, on the ceiling. We didn't have a dog. Oh, that's creepy. Paw prints on your ceiling? Why would you not get a photo of that?
Yeah.
I mean, I would. I'd be Kodaking the hell out of that. Like, wow. We have an antique clock which apparently hadn't worked since before I was born and was kept as a sort of ornament. The hands on the clock would change time when you weren't looking at it, literally. It would be on the, say, 6:45. You would look away, then look back, and it would be 3:30. I remember a perfect circle of thunderflies on the ceiling. I'm not sure what thunderflies are. Is that like lightning bugs? I don't know.
I don't know.
On the ceiling over my bed, which just sort of evaporated when we were forever hearing people or furniture moving around in rooms we knew were empty. I was 5 when we moved there and the oldest of 3 kids, although none of us would ever sleep with the lights off. I don't ever remember being scared, looking back. I remember us talking about the ghost almost like an irritating, eccentric relative. After we had extensive work done in the house after we had extensive work done on the house in the early 80s, the ghost settled down for a bit, and there was less weirdness. The last time it made its presence felt was about 5 years ago. My dad was away, and my bro was popping in to check that all was well. As always, he went through the house, turning the lights on before he went into a room and then off as he left. Eventually, he was back at the front door about to leave, switched the light off. It was dark out. And as the hallway went dark, someone gave a breathy gasp right in his ear. After he got control of himself and stopped accelerating, he had to go back and shut the front door. For the record, I'm an atheist who regularly has seen ghosts throughout my life. I don't believe in the undead or in restless spirits or the New Age hoodoo. I have no idea what caused the weirdness in my house. Oh, and one last thing. When I was about 20, I'm 46 now, for your information, I met a woman completely at random who had lived in the same house in the mid-60s who told me she remembers it as a warm and friendly place with no weirdness of any sort. No, I just, again, that's one of those stories. So all of these things were experienced. And yet you get to the end, it's like, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in ghosts. He says he's seen ghosts throughout his life, but I don't believe in the undead or in restless spirits or New Age hoodoo. So what
exactly is he experiencing then?
Right. I mean, he acknowledges he's seen ghosts, but he doesn't believe in the undead or in restless spirits or New Age hoodoo.
Right.
Not leaving a lot left there to believe it is, but I don't know. Just one of those things, I guess.
So I looked up thunderfly.
Yeah.
They're called thrips. THRIPS. Thrips.
Okay.
Are tiny, slender insects with fringed wings. They're also known as thunderflies, thunderbugs, stormflies, and here's my favorite, corn lice. These pests feed on plants and animals by puncturing them and sucking up their contents.
Okay.
So there you go. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty thought.
Yeah, if you could just find one that's not a giant cryptid type, right? And
then have at it,
there you go.
Aye.
Just suck your brains out.
I would love to, when you were reading the story, to switch to the camera that's just all you.
Okay.
But I can't do it because I'm pretty sure that the sound on that scene is going to be all wrong. So we basically have one working scene tonight, and that's this one with the 2 panels. That's frustrating as can be. I don't know why it changed. That's what I don't get it. I mean, we had it all set up. Chris connected with me and had it all working. So very weird. Very weird. All right. So, and it's up to you, Don.
Oh, all right. Hey, how about another story about my alien hand syndrome from last week? No, let's not do that.
That was so funny.
It was crazy. It was true. It's true. It's a true story. It was just
Ladies and gentlemen, since he brought it up, so apparently Don will go to sleep. Oh, you got to be kidding. Look at this. It wants to update look at this, Don.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
No, remind me later. It wants to update my computer now. Are you freaking kidding me? All right. So, Don goes to sleep and apparently sleeps on his arm for so long that the arm becomes essentially dead. It doesn't work. It's like past numbness. It's just barely alive. But when this happens, his arm decides it's had enough, grabs him by the hair, and Don wakes up getting his head slammed.
Rushes me around.
has no idea what the hell's going on, but he's
It's a true story. It's weird. It's weird, I know.
slamming his own hat
It's a true
around.
story. It's like, like, oh my God.
So, if you ever wanted to know a little bit about Mr. Longbeard, there you have it. Don's haunted hand. It slams you. It's like it goes, get off me. Wow.
Ah, jeez.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So you were going to read a story, weren't
Yeah,
you?
that's my story.
Yeah,
I'm
well, that's a
sticking
good
to
one.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one says, I will always love you, Uncle Will. Since this is my first story, I thought I should tell you a little bit about myself. Oh, gosh. About a year ago, I moved in with my mom and my brother to the Dominican Republic. My whole family is from there, so I pretty much got used to it. I lived my whole life in New York and never had any kind of experience with the paranormal until I moved here. My experience happened a few weeks back. I was 14 at the time, and still am, because it only happened a couple weeks ago. I was 14 at the time, still am, and my mom decided to leave me at home alone, something she would never do because she says I'm not old enough. About 20 minutes or so after my mom left, I started feeling super cold, which is weird since it's never cold down here. I closed all the windows and went back to my room. It got even colder. I thought it was just my room, so I moved to the dining room. Still cold. Right there, I got the urge that someone was there with me, and I was right. I wasn't alone. The chair next to me moved a little bit. The cushion on the seat slightly caved in, which looked like someone was sitting on it. Then the seat moved back towards the table. I knew I wasn't alone, but I wasn't a bit scared, just confused. What happened after that night seems a little odd or even made up, but I promise you it did happen. I immediately started asking questions since I was so excited. I asked, and whoever it was knocked. The first question was, do I know you? If I don't, knock one time. If I do, knock 2 times. About 2 minutes later, I heard the first knock, then the second. Right away, 3 people popped into my head. My 3 uncles, which were all very close to me. Their names were Danny, Anthony, and Will. Those aren't their real names. I changed them for safety reasons, because, we'll know your dead uncle's names. I then asked another question, are you one of my uncles? Give me a tap. Right there went the tap. My eyes started watering. Is it Danny? No knock. Is it Anthony? Still no knock. I was kind of disappointed, crying my eyes out. I'm not sure if he heard me or something, but I told him everything that I felt, how much I missed him. What? Oh. I was kind of disappointed. It wasn't any of my uncles, but then I had remembered I had one left. Is it Will? Right there, 2 knocks. I started crying my eyes out. I'm not sure if he heard me or something, but I told him everything that I felt, how much I loved him and missed him, etc. About 5 minutes later, I felt a cold breeze hit me and had the feeling of someone was holding me tight, more like a hug. I felt some kind of relief, like a weight had just been lifted off of me. This experience I will never forget. So there you go.
Wow.
She really loved her Uncle Will.
Yeah, apparently. Well, that's good. I mean, that's a good thing. And it's, I guess, comforting to know the uncle must have loved her enough to come back and say hello. That's beautiful. You know, your head is now bigger than mine, right?
Oh, that's just swelling from my hand thrashing my head about.
We have ice downstairs. We'll get that taken care for you. Jeez. All right. All right. The Halloween Nightmare. When I was about 12 years old, I had a dream shortly before Halloween. In the dream, I was out trick-or-treating on Halloween night. I was in this overgrown woodsy area in my neighborhood, running away from a house a couple of blocks away from where I lived. I realized that I was running from the ghost of a woman when I saw her come flying towards me. I woke up in a cold sweat. That December, I found out that the house that I had been running from in the dream belonged to an older woman. She lived alone and didn't have any family in the area. A friend of my mother's was delivering Christmas cookies and found her dead in the house. They estimated that she had been there since about August. Ooh, that's a long time. I don't actually believe in ghosts, but it was very strange. Wow. So August, September, October, this is Halloween. So she was there for like 2 months. Hmm. That's a smell you won't get rid of.
Oh.
Yikes.
Is that a trick or a treat?
I don't know. It's something. All right, ghostly drumming. I was 19. I used to walk to Denny's from my house every evening, leaving at around 8 or 9 p.m. There I would hang out with my friends, smoke and drink coffee, and play cards until 2 or 3 in the morning. This one seems familiar to me too. So did that last one. This one particular evening I left later than usual, probably around 11 p.m. or so. The Denny's was about 5.7 miles from my house, so it was a bit of a walk. So I'm walking along like I had dozens of times before, and I get to the wooded area that's always got dark. That always got dark. And I started hearing music from a house off the road. Just heavy bass drums with a real steady beat. Not a big deal because people out that way always had big parties. I continue walking, but the music doesn't go away. I stop and listen real carefully, and it sounds more like drums in a continuous loop. There's not another parallel road for a couple of miles from where I am at, so it cannot come from a vehicle. I continue to walking, and for about 2 miles, I continue to hear this music. Never gets louder, never gets quieter. I stop and listen again. It sounds a lot like Native American drums. I walk again, quickening my pace as I walk, listening to the drums that are following me. I start to smell gunpowder. I walk a mile listening to drums and smelling gunpowder. I may have started getting real creeped out, so I'm not sure if I heard footsteps behind me or if it was just my imagination. I only hear them for a couple 100 feet. Then I walk into a clearing in the woods and it all disappears. The drum stops. I don't smell gunpowder, no footsteps except mine, just me walking. I get to Denny's entirely shook up, but I didn't share my story for a few days.
Did they say where they were, like town-wise or area or anything like that?
No idea, but the person's just walking to Denny's to hang out with friends, but
Okay. Huh.
through the walking stretch, they had to cross over or through this wooded area where it
Right.
gets darker, and that's where they heard the residual haunting.
Right. I'm wondering if that's like down in like the South where, or, in an area where there was a battle, like a Civil War battle or
Right.
something like that.
That could be, or of course, when the First Nations people were being really, mishandled and misdealt with, or poor. What am I trying to say? It's another word. When they were being brutalized by our
Right.
forefathers, could be one of those horrible events, but hard to say. I don't know where it was, but writing in the mirror. This is the scariest thing that has ever happened to me. Most people I tell try to come up with a logical explanation, but there is none. So after living in my new house for 5 months or so, I decided to take a shower. One of my friends had just slept over, and I had taken a bunch of showers in that bathroom already, so it's not like it was anything new. So I take my shower, get out and dry off, and look at the steamed up mirror. On the mirror, in perfect writing no human could do, with their finger, read something along the lines of, "Dear Father, please forgive me."
Oh boy.
Eesh. I completely forget the rest because I was so freaked out, but it was terrifying. The bathroom door was locked the entire time, and no one could have gotten in. It had also never been there any other time I took a shower, so yeah, no idea what the hell that was, but it scared the hell out of me.
Wow.
Rope. That sounds familiar too. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Sounded
I suspect that I've read this list in a prior episode.
They pulled the shower curtain and somebody thought it was maybe, confession time.
Yeah. Well, that'd be one of those. What do you mean? What you did? What did you do?
What'd you do?
What are you gonna do? Yeah, exactly. You
Shower
get that whole
scene.
psycho thing cooking, right?
What is her name? Janet Lee.
Janet Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't remember. But I trust your memory, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Should I not?
Those are about the only things I can actually remember.
I think I'm going to jump over to this other list from now on, though, because so many of those are sounding way familiar, and I just don't want to do a show where I repeat another show.
Sure.
That just would not be in good taste. So, got to keep bringing you new stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Or you can write in and tell me your experiences.
You know,
I
somebody
love-
said they're going to send us a couple stories.
Fantastic. And we have gotten a few
Ooh.
lately. But,
Apparently, T-Fetch just sent you one.
oh, sweet. Very good.
Nice.
Outstanding to you. I appreciate it. And again, if you're interested in sending your encounters or stories, please email paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I will just take a peek. Do you want to read another story, Don?
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Let's do this. Okay, I
Let's.
just read that one. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Let's see. This one might be a bit weird, because it's called In Love with a Demon. Oh, here we go. It all started with a dream in which me and some of my friends were running from an evil man. I assumed he was a demon or a vampire because he was dressed all in black, had black hair, pale skin, and glowing yellow eyes. Yes, I'd run as well. We were really scared, and we went into this huge room to hide. And right out of nowhere, he suddenly finds me and forces me to marry him. What? It's a dream. Okay. At first I was afraid, but then I started to like him, although he was evil and everyone else was afraid of him. Since then, I kept seeing him in my dreams, and I just fell in love with him. Recently, I dreamed about some fairies who warned me to stay away from him, yet he was the one coming for me. He often forced me into staying in his fortress, and every time I escaped, he sent his army after me. I think I'm not going to read this.
Oh.
Let's see here. He had some kind of anger issues, but he was gentle with me. In real life, she was 15. A few days ago, I dreamed we were attending a masquerade ball and we were dancing together. That's when I heard him for the first time telling me he loves me. Now it's starting to sound like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Okay, sorry, I'm skipping that one.
It's just, you just got to weed through 'em.
This one is That Girl Was in True Love. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my background. Why do they do this? Okay. I am 27 years old, mature. Oh, I'm 27 years old, mature, sensitive, and emotional girl from basically India. Okay. Uttarakhand, India. But nowadays I'm in Delhi, India. This incident has taken place in my second house in Delhi. We were three siblings, me, my elder sister, and my younger brother in that house, and I was staying with my elder sister. In the house we were staying since 2 or 3 months, I don't think. In that house we were staying since 2 or 3 months. Now I'll tell you my story from the starting. Thank you. This incident started when one of my neighbors committed suicide because she was in love with someone and she ran away with him. And after one night, her brother caught her and brought her home. She committed suicide on the same day.
That's dark.
As I've already mentioned, I'm a very emotional and sensitive girl, so when I heard about this, I was really upset, even though I don't know her, but I thought that how much pain she must be feeling at the time because committing suicide is not a very easy task. You have to tolerate so much pain. So I thought about her for 5 days, and even I was not able to sleep because I was not feeling good for her. After 5 days, we were having a party at my sister's friend's place, so I went there with my sister, and the house was exactly in front of the girl's house. When I was standing there, I don't know what happened, and I fainted to the floor. After 30 seconds or so, I came conscious and was feeling very relaxed, even though I hadn't slept in 5 days. Oh. Okay. On the next day, me and my sister were sleeping in our house on mattresses because it was summer, and in Delhi it was really hot. Because we had just started our career, we don't have AC at the time. Okay, so they're okay. At midnight, I felt some fingers must have rubbed my back and shoulders and head. My sister had the same feeling, but we didn't discuss it because I felt if we discussed it, my sister might be scared. After 1 hour, I said to my sister, I'm feeling that there's mice who is touching my back. My sister said, okay, we can go to our bed for sleep. What?
I'm confused.
Wow, I am too.
Sorry.
Very clear fingers on our back, shoulders, and head. We were really scared. The time was around 2 or 3 a.m. We played a prayer of our Lord in our mobile and switched on our laptop and started watching movies. Okay, so they got scared and started watching me. I'm confused. Okay, let's get rid of that one.
That'll be 2 of us.
Huh, well, I tried.
No, you did good. It's not for lack of trying. It's just
Goodness.
the material just wasn't agreeing with
Well,
you.
yeah, and apparently she was, East Indian, so
Right.
English is not her first language.
So was that first story I read tonight, and it was very confusing. It's hard to put any kind of emotion or inflection in those stories because they have a different way of phrasing things if you're not in a very fluent English.
Yeah, it's kind of jilted, and
Right?
start, stop, and run-on sentences,
and weird words that you wouldn't normally use.
Yeah.
So it just throws you for a
Sentence
loop when you're reading
structures
that
too.
out loud. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know what to do here.
What do I do?
What do I do? Who am I? What's my motivation? Exactly. So anyway, continuing on, I found another one here.
Oh, nice.
Hoping it's good. This person has this is below our experiences I managed to compile from my friends, family, and some strangers. So these are these should be good, I hope. So Cat is the first. Basically, my sister and I had the same experience. We were staying in a little rental house while moving me into an apartment before sophomore year of college, and the 2 of us were sleeping in the same bed there. One night we had literally just laid down to go to bed when we both started hearing heavy breathing. There was also a perceptible drop in temperature and just a strange feeling in the air. Hard to describe. I looked over my shoulder since I was sleeping on my side, and I saw a tall, dark figure standing next to the bathroom door. While all of this was going on, we were both calling to my brother who was sleeping on the pull-out couch in the living room because we thought it was him messing with us. But he kept saying it wasn't him, and then the figure disappeared, and the breathing stopped. And then he came in the room, so we knew it had been a ghost. It was really freaky, especially since we were both totally awake and couldn't have been dreaming. That is weird. And these are supernatural stories, so there may be ghostlies, there may be other things, but we'll go through them. This one is our ghost at Pitt, which is an old townhouse apartment type building in downtown Charleston. Does stuff all the time. Knocks on the door, unlocks the door when we're out, turns on the TV, turns lights on and off, bangs on the walls. When asked to describe more detail how it feels when stuff like this happens. Bangs, what? I don't understand what that meant. I felt freaking terrified. There's not much detail. Most of the time when we have people over, stuff happens. Okay. The next one is, so the worst thing that ever happened at the jail, the place where they have haunted jail tours in Charleston. These are all from Charleston, I imagine North Carolina. To me was one night a woman passed out on the tour, and when she came to, she threw up. So after dealing with the ambulance and everything, I had to go clean it up. That sounds like a possession, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I was the only one on the second floor in the pitch black, and all of a sudden someone started whispering in my ear. Couldn't understand what they were saying, but they did not sound happy. Pitt, same as the place listed in number 2, is just a lot of little things, but this happened to Lauren. It was in the middle of the night, and she had a small mirror hanging on the back of her door. It randomly fell and flew to the other side of the room and made this huge noise. More noise than makes sense. Then Rosa Parks, the dog, started quietly growling, moving her head, looking as though she was watching someone walk across the room.
Wow.
There again, ladies and gentlemen, get a pet. They will let you know. Look at that obnoxious ad. All right, so this is coming from another source, Alexa. My friend's house is wicked old, like 1800s old, and they have a young girl ghost they name Sarah. One night we were sleeping in the living room and I woke up and saw Sarah walking down the stairs holding a candle, staring straight ahead. It's not super paranormal, but creepy as hell. Now, that could very well be a residual, just
Right.
a replay. Again, those are the kind of hauntings that are they're just methodical.
Stone tape.
Right, yeah, stone tape theory, but it's just methodical, like, A, B, C, and it just repeats A, B, C every time it happens. So if it didn't look at her, didn't interact with the idea that she was seeing it, then there's no reason to believe that's an intelligent haunt. Anne says, the ghost in my house turned off my fan when I was in the bathroom. The demons in my apartment at Warren, an apartment complex, take the artwork off my walls at least once a week. so, so are they demons because they don't like your art? I don't know. They could just be critics. I don't know. Okay. Das Koran is the next one. When I was a young kid, I had a really big room with my bed wedged into the corner directly opposite of where the door was. My parents always made me close the door when I went to bed, as well as pull down the shades completely, which left the entire room pitch black whenever I went to bed. And I mean pitch black, with no hint of moonlight or anything else in the room. Now, that in and of itself wasn't a big deal. I've never been scared of the dark, and I knew my way around that old room in my sleep. Never had anything odd happen either, until one morning I woke up a bit earlier than usual, and I think it was around 5 a.m.-ish, hearing voices. I immediately recognized them as not being my parents, and at the start, they were whispering. I can't remember what they were talking about, but I remember that as soon as I quietly called out, being being the retarded kid I was, they grew louder fast, and more voices started talking at once, each over the other until the room was filled with an incomprehensible chatter. I panicked, scrambled out of bed, because screw that noise, and tried making my way towards the door, with the voices growing ever louder, and now that I was slowly moving through my room, arms stretched out to the front so I wouldn't run into the walls, I heard some of the voices starting to laugh. I distinctly remember them laughing in a very mocking manner, taunting me for something. When I finally reached the door and just pulled it open, everything was silent immediately. Nothing like that ever happened again, and when I told my parents about it a bit earlier, they said that they both didn't hear anything, although they were probably asleep at the time anyway. After that happened, though, I never entered a pitch black room again without some sort of light source. I always tipped my shutters slightly to allow at least a bit of light into the room, and still do that to this day like a normal person. It says like a normal person. Light makes you normal. That's very true. This one is a little bit long too, but that's cool.
We got lots of time.
We have as much time as my wife will let me be.
D. Swigger said she just gosh, my brains. Another story has been sent to us. This is awesome.
Absolutely excellent. Thank you guys. That totally makes the show more than anything. It's just tough to keep trying to find new and new stories and encounters, and your encounters, of course, are new because they were yours. So, Waffle Universe, I was helping my friend with a photo project. He had to take some supernatural shots where we would have to go somewhere old, like in the woods or abandoned buildings, and edit them. We decided to go to this old toy store nearby my house and take pictures there. I knew the woman who owned it, and she was pretty nice, but to other people she was creepy. She let us in to take the pictures, and she left to go to pack boxes. I was helping him with his camera when we heard some thumping. Then one of the toys turned on. It was a baby doll that talked and cried. Is that not creepy? Isn't that just not the worst?
I'm already creeped.
That is such a creepy thing. Ugh. But its sound box was messed up, so it sounded demonic.
Oh, that's even worse.
We thought it was just the old woman who pressed it by accident, so we brushed it off. As he was taking the pictures, I was looking around the store and saw that the old lady had left. So I looked outside, but her car was still there. Probably out in the back getting more boxes, I thought. My friend was going to the storage room, and I heard him scream. I ran to him and saw that the old lady had been having a heart attack, so I called an ambulance right away. Sadly, she passed away before she got to the hospital.
Oh.
My friend told me he left the camera at the store, so I went with him to get it, and we saw a flash. The camera had taken a picture, so we want to look at it. We saw a white figure that looked like an old man standing in the doorway. Then the camera was knocked over, and we never went back.
Huh.
Yeah, that would be a little too much, and that's the tough part. I don't know. I mean, in spiritual attacks, apparently, people with heart conditions just have a heck of a time.
Yeah.
And I don't know what her, history is medically, but you got to have a pretty stout constitution to be around paranormal hauntings. But Bengal GT is next. Bengal GT. About 2 years ago, the family and I went on out into the mountains to spend the weekend. It was a little small fishing-centric town. There was a bed and breakfast inn that we stayed at. That night I couldn't sleep in the room, although the rest of the family was sound asleep. I just kept feeling something was out of place, like I was being watched. So I continued to lay down, and all of a sudden the left side of my body, my hair stood up, and I got the goosebumps. I felt someone or something was there. I literally jumped and was scared terribly. I'm not going to say that. I've never really believed in supernatural entities, but that night made me a believer. I felt like I was being watched. Something was there with me, and I did not sleep at all the entire night. Once morning came, we went to breakfast, and I was talking with the family about my experiences that night. The owner's wife, who was serving breakfast, asked how we all slept. I told her my experience, and she said that over 100 or so years ago, there was a fire, and a young girl was trapped in the bedroom and died. Previous guests had also noted a similar experience as mine. I simply said jokingly, "Oh, well, thanks for informing me of this before we rented." Back to the room we were packing, and I looked at the stay log and noticed many people have experienced the same thing. They left the room to grab a bite to eat, came back, and all their stuff was organized, etc.
Huh.
Wow. There you have it. Okay, the next one, which is, again, pretty long, but that's okay. I like these longer ones, and they're new, so I love that. On 3 occasions, I've seen a shadow man walk across my fireplace. It doesn't move its arms, and its legs show little movement. About at its shin, it looks like a shadow of a flame or smoke, and believe me, it's really creepy. Another time I was laying in bed and was about to head to sleep, and I just heard something pounding on my floor at the foot of my bed like a child having a tantrum. One night, me and my mom and my sister were going to pick up my sister's friend, and we went by the haunted abandoned courthouse. We stopped beside it on the road and looked into the windows from the car. I ended up seeing a gray, smoky-figured guy looking out at us. We all saw it, and I know for sure we did. Also, one night I stayed at my cousin's house. He lives near a military training field out in the country. I went to sleep on my cousin's bed with a small blanket by myself. I ended up getting woke up to a really bad cold chill and opened my eyes to see a silhouette watching me sleep. I didn't think much of it for the 10 seconds that I stared at him. I fell back asleep, and when we were eating breakfast the next morning, I was told about the soldier ghost that they have. Then it hit me. That's what was staring at me last night. Maybe he was just checking in to see who I was. Who knows? Okay, the next one. I worked security for over a year in the 1920s era hospital. It was built and refurbished as office buildings. For the sake of that job, I won't say where it is, but suffice to say the place is haunted as all get out. Among other things, I have felt drafts, stand up the hairs you forget you have on your neck and shoulders. I have seen motion out of the corner of my eye in places that motion shouldn't be, where it would be contingent with new walls, for example. I have heard sounds in my bones that I know my ears didn't hear. Kind of akin to hearing a deep bass sound, except the sound itself was a scream of pain.
Huh.
That's not good. I've smelt burned flesh and heard the incinerator on property start up when it was completely impossible for the machine to do so. The gas line that powers it is cut. When they dig in for new buildings to be laid on the property, I have seen and heard power tools be turned on in the construction zones after hours when no one was in the area. We could watch the floors on the cameras from the control booth. You would see the sander or drill just start up for a few seconds and then turn off, as if someone was curious how they worked but couldn't see them. But we couldn't see them. Some places in the building were downright foreboding, made you feel like you needed to not be there. Specifically, the back of the old foundation in the machine room of the basement for Building 1. That one corner just has 3 walls in a 3 by 4 foot area. Made everyone I know who was in its area feel downright spooked, especially at night. And those would be good places to bring an EMF meter.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely, and it's a pretty much, what is the word I'm looking for? It's pretty much one of the most used tools in paranormal investigating because, for one, a lot of investigators believe that you can detect the presence of spirits by these rogue EMF fields that may move around or be transient. They're not just located in one spot. They may drift here or there, or they may suddenly trigger an EMF meter and then be gone. And a lot of times you also have to check the height because, they may get a spike up here and then it's gone. But if you lower it, then the spike continues. But people actually have a very, very physical reaction to areas that have a high EMF field. A lot of people feel creeped out. They feel like they're being watched. They feel like they get that just generally spooked out feeling. And that doesn't necessarily have to be paranormal. It's just exposure to a high field of EMF. So it does have a very physical reaction. So in a case like that where there's that room, that would be a great place to bring an EMF meter and just see if there's always a charge of high EMF in that area. And of course, look at ways of shielding that. So that's one of the debunking things that needs to happen in a true investigation is that you check for valid sources of EMF, like whether there's high power lines or if there's maybe a bad shielding on a generator that's allowing a lot of EMF leak or something like that. So
Right.
those are things that definitely should be investigated and cleared before you start announcing, oh, it's paranormal. Look at the EMF meter. So,
Yeah, definitely that.
well, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that are picking these things up and going, oh, I got a spike. There's a spirit here.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
no, then maybe have the person move their cell phone away
Yeah.
for one.
Yeah.
That's the one biggest error is that people have their cell phone in their pockets. Like, yeah, watch this, and I have this EMF field right here. And it's like, where's your cell phone? Oh, it's in that pocket.
Well, and Pixie just popped in and she said, well, what about smart meters?
Smart meters are another
So,
thing,
yeah.
and I've heard that some areas are actually starting to discontinue their use.
Yes.
So I know there's a lot of controversy around smart meters, and I don't pretend to be even knowledgeable about it, but I know a lot of people believe that they are creating a field of energy that's not good for people.
Right.
And could they be exploited? Could they be used for other motives? Sure, that's always a consideration.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't know. A lot of people are not fond of smart meters. I know that it saves the utility companies some cost, maybe not initially, but not having to pay a guy to run around read meters. But I've heard some places are actually going back to paying the guy because of problems they've had with the meters. So.
Right. Hey, D. Swigger, I'm watching the chat, of course.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, there's a lot of stories that one has.
Oh, yeah?
One of the statements is, I clear poltergeists.
Oh.
I can clear darn near anything.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
And it sounds like we may get a phone call during one of our TFR nights.
Fantastic. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Call in and definitely love to hear your experiences. And if you've got a ton of things to share, just let me know and we can schedule you as a guest.
Oh, there you go.
And give you a whole 2-hour shot if you think you can fill it. I'd love to hear your experiences. So But we definitely want to talk beforehand. So if you get a chance, drop me an email and maybe we'll touch base and I'll schedule you in as soon as we can.
Yeah, that'd be
but
great.
but always just realize I do have to screen for the show. I've got to screen for content. I've got to, talk to you and see what your experiences are. So don't take offense at that. It's just, part of the deal. But I'm not a, I'm welcoming anybody to be on the show if they have things they want to share and contribute. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
So,
So that's for you, D Swigger.
or
got
anyone else
calls.
out there that feels like they want to come on, and you certainly don't have to be a 2-hour guest if you want to just come
Yeah.
on for a half-hour segment.
Just tell us something.
Yeah, I mean, we can split the show up if there's several people that want to be on the show and share their experiences. We could split up an evening into half-hour segments or whatever you want to do. But there's always options, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't the Brent Thomas show. I'm glad to share the stage with any of you that want to share your experiences and what you've been through and bring some education to it. So that's always an option. But yeah, get in touch with me. Hit the email and we'll talk.
There you go.
right.
Excellent.
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 Always expanding the portal. All right. This one is, I've always had a fear of attics after what I saw. I was young, probably about 8. My grandparents told me to stay away from the attic. Well, natural childhood curiosity got the best of me one day. I was playing upstairs and decided to go check it out. I opened the door, and there was a man there. He had blood coming from his eyes, nose, and ears.
Oh,
He said, "You know you're not supposed to be up here."
really?
Jeez. I freaked out, of course, ran downstairs and told my grandparents. It turns out that the guy I saw resembled my grandfather's friend who died in the house. Cause of death, burst aneurysm in the brain.
Wow.
Wow, indeed, yeah. All right, the next one is craziest experience. I was with my friends Jess and Danielle, who is now my girlfriend, and we were on our way to drop her off. It was late, maybe around 11:30 p.m., and pitch black. All night, I've been getting glimpses out of the corner of my eyes of shadow-like apparitions. They look like the outline of a body, but no facial detail, and I can't even determine if male or female. I didn't think much of it because I never felt threatening feeling from it, so I just shook it off most nights. But anyways, we pull up to Danielle's house and we say bye, and as soon as she closes the door, an overwhelming floral smell comes through my AC. I check my rearview mirror as to where Danielle was previously sitting, and there was an older woman sitting there. I knew she was a spirit because the things around her looked faded, dull, lifeless. Even though it was just the back seat of my car, she seemed like a painting. The woman didn't look at me, just out of the window towards the moon. I looked at Jess the moment I saw the woman, and she replied with, "I know." We kept driving, but the air got heavy, like hard to breathe, like when you go outside in a really dense fog. It's almost like you have to try harder to get a full breath. We rolled down the windows down and turned on the radio. The first thing that came over the radio was, "This one goes out to all the folks who are no longer with us, but are watching over us right now." I noped out of that one and put on some hip-hop, booty-shaking, club-banging music, hoping to drown out the heaviness with the situation. So after the booty-popping music started to play, things died down quite a bit, until after I dropped Jess off. I turned the music off because I was starting to develop a headache, and my neck was getting sore. As soon as I parked my car in my garage, I felt the air thicken and heard the silence take over. I checked the rear seat, and there she was, the old woman. But this time, she was looking directly at me. I froze and kept eye contact with her. A minute passed, which felt like hours, and then she looked away. I looked at the front of my car because I thought I saw something cross in front of my headlights. Then I looked to my left after possibly seeing something in the side mirror, and then to my right. She was sitting next to me in the front passenger seat. The silence was deafening. The air was musky and the smell of damp flowers. Then this loud ringing started to resonate from her, like that annoying mosquito ringtone you could get in an old phones. It got to the point where it was starting to hurt. I closed my eyes and covered my ears, trying to make the sound less irritating. As soon as I opened my eyes, everything stopped. No more shadows, no more weird old lady, no buzzing, and I can hear the normal hum of our water heater. I haven't seen her since, but the shadows come and go.
Hmm.
Wow, very persistent. That was a very persistent experience. All right.
Huh.
Huh, what? Did you got another one?
Huh. Oh yeah. Yeah. You read one about an attic. I've got one about a basement.
Well, there you go. Might as well talk about the whole works.
I live in a 92-year-old house just outside of Chicago, on the south side of Chicago. Never mind. We have lived there for 14 years now and have had some strange stuff from time to time that would occur. At times there would be years before something happened. The main area of activity seemed to be our basement. My nephew was down there recently doing some work, and he got quite a scare. He had no fear, and I never told him any stories about activity in the house. He said he heard two people, a man and a woman, whispering to each other very close to him. He stopped working and just sat in silence and listened. And he heard a conversation being whispered between the two. They were probably observing him and wondering what he was doing. When the whispering stopped, he felt his lower back got red hot, and that's when he sort of screamed and ran upstairs. He refused to go down there alone, so I had to accompany him. My husband would sometimes sleep down there on a futon in the summer when it's too hot upstairs. He's a big guy, a former Marine, and does not scare easily. One night at 2 a.m., I heard him pounding up the stairs really quickly. He said he heard two people talking behind him, and one of them he thought was a woman. He heard footsteps approaching his back and suddenly felt something pass right through him. He said it was an indescribable feeling, just like electricity from the head to toe. Needless to say, he got out of there fast. I go down there at night to do laundry and definitely look around a lot. I've so far never encountered or heard anything. Two of our dogs will never go down there, but our third dog goes down there like nothing. I just don't understand if they come and go, but most of all, why would they hang around some old basement? Very strange.
It is very strange.
Boom, boom.
And Pixie thought it was rather fitting that you'd read a story about.
Of course, that's why I did it. That's part of the reason I did it.
Exactly. There's always got to be a reason, a methodology behind this madness. The madness continues. Are those candles doing okay up there? No, I mean just.
Oh, I mean,
turn your
I've got.
head.
Well, I have. Anyhow, no, they look great.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
All right.
Great.
You know, it's the first time burning candles here in the new studio, so just want to make sure everything's all kosher.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? Well, I mean, obviously the
And
start.
and things not burning down.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. But the start of the night was clearly not kosher, but I think we've been progressing nicely. Would you agree, Don?
Yes, actually, it has.
Yeah.
And could you believe it's 10 minutes to 9?
Yeah, you know, that's the funny part. It just really flies. Once
Yeah.
once the old portal mechanism starts firing and things are moving, it's amazing how fast it goes.
That
It's
is true.
amazing how slow it goes when things aren't firing smoothly.
Yeah, that's true.
like,
It
ooh.
just takes forever.
Yeah, it does.
When
And-
will the nightmare end?
I know, and it's like this frantic with the mouse, just moving it around trying to figure out what the hell to click. Because something's got to, you got to
Pushing-
click something.
Pushing
you know?
buttons, moving sliders.
Yeah, you just feel like you got to do something. Hold on. I'm just going to push all this and see what happens.
Just
Yeah.
slam it all.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's like, wow. Jeez. Well, you know, little 20, you know, it was our 20 minutes of silence to reflect on the love that Valentine's Day signifies.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, didn't you guys get the memo? I'm sorry. I sent it out. I'm sure I did. No, I wish I can only try to explain it away. It's just the way things work here on the portal. And if you're not familiar with the portal, or this is a new experience for you, you'll know this is the one paranormal show that is actually haunted. So, and I can't explain it any other way. I mean, the stupid kind of problems that we have, it has to be paranormal because
It's
if
the only explanation.
either it's paranormal or I'm just really not that intelligent, and I'd like to believe that I am, or at least I have,
Oh, Brent.
I've got at least an average intellect here. But man, I'm telling you, some of the stuff is just like, it's just mind-numbingly stupid. It's like, really, why does that sound? Why do we sound like we're in a tunnel now?
Yeah, exactly.
We've had shows
What's
where,
that clicking?
I mean, yeah, there's this weird clicking, and humming I can figure, it's a studio. There's electrical things going on, and I can get that. But I've got a power conditioner and everything cooking here. It's not like I'm just, plugged in
Running
the
on
AC
raw
and
power.
just, plugging into the power with a lot of good feelings. And I mean, it's like suddenly we'll get this weird vocal effect that'll happen, and then it'll stop. And it'll be normal audio, and then it'll start being echoey again. And it's like, what the hell is going on?
Or Don will touch the
Or Donald,
microphone and it shorts out.
yeah, that was the same night I almost fainted,
Yeah, that's true.
which was what, 2 weeks ago now, or when it was January 31st, that night of the super blood full moon, blue moon,
Yeah.
that combination. I mean, literally, I was about to faint, and Don could everything he touched broke. So it was just one of those nights. His microphone just decided it wasn't going to work, and
Right.
you know,
It was crazy.
it was crazy. It's crazy here in the portal, ladies and gentlemen. So, believe it or not, it's kind of tongue in cheek and it's kind of serious. I don't know what the hell's wrong sometimes here. But we continue on, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to read another story here, and hopefully you enjoy it. This one's a little longer, but I know you got time. So I smacked my lips again, didn't I? Hey. This happened last December at my parents' house. It isn't particularly old, but it is quite big. This this article comes from 2014, so it's quite a few Decembers ago, as it turns out. But anyway, I was coming back from a friend's house at about 2 nights before Christmas Eve. I got home quite late. My parents were already in bed, and I was about to go into the part of the house I was staying the night. The entrance to this room was directly opposite of the living room, which is pitch black because my parents were asleep. However, because the lights of the room and the dining room spilled into an area off the lounge, you could... What the hell happened?
What do you mean, what the hell happened?
I got nothing on my headphones at all.
I hear you just fine.
Oh, now it started again.
Oh.
Jesus. It just went dead. I was
there
like...
you go.
Yep, thank you for that. What did I just say? My headphones just died like that, and now they're fine again. Yeah, it's not that. That just about made me stroke out. All right, here we go. So you can see a large wooden cupboard standing at the end of the far wall with a vague splash of light on the polished doors. As I walked into the dining room to turn off the lights, I glanced into the lounge and looked in the direction of the aforementioned cupboard. Oddly enough, the split second before I saw something, I felt as if something odd was about to happen. As I looked, what I took to be a splash of reflected light upon the surface of the cupboard slid up the front of the cupboard and literally flew sideways into the depths of the lounge and out of my sight. The physical sensations I experienced when seeing this, I have been frightened before, I have been in dangerous situations, I've even scared myself, but this was different. When I saw this manifestation instantly, every single cell of my body freaked out simultaneously. I cannot emphasize how horrible that feels. You have absolutely no control over it. Maybe that's the frightening part. My body knew instinctively, even if I did not, that this was in the presence of something not of this earth. I slammed the door to my room shut pretty damn quick, as you can imagine, although I have no idea what protection a short door or a shut door would be against something like that. I calmed down pretty quickly, considering that what had just happened, and I am only now considering the oddness of that, actually. And then looking at the experience objectively, funnily enough, though, even 5 minutes after it had happened, I was thinking, did I really just see that? Was that real? I have never seen anything since, nor do I expect to. The sighting was an accident. Someone or something being caught unawares, the hidden spirit in the house revealing itself. The whole family have had experiences here going back decades. So, interesting story.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh. Maybe it's... So, do you suppose that was an orb? Did he witness an orb? He thought it was just reflected light, but then it actually moved up and then across the room?
It was the light of Venus reflecting off the swamp gas.
Sure. That's good. That's a possibility. Just ask Project Blue Book, or what was it?
Blue Book, yeah.
Yeah, Blue Book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it hard to hear you?
Because I moved the mic and it kind of.
Yeah.
I moved the mic a little bit.
Let's just adjust that, shall we?
All right.
We're professional here, Don. Jeez.
Fine. Jeez.
Oh my,
Gosh, guys.
oh my God, Don.
Stop it, guys.
whatever.
Hey, wait.
All right, several years ago, I lived in an apartment off State and Pierce Park in Garden City, Idaho.
Oh.
That gave me the creeps over time. It was a fairly new development, though, and I'm not exactly sure how old. It couldn't have been built earlier than the mid-'90s. The place didn't look scary by any means. It was well-lit, clean apartment that seemed like it had a few residents under its belt. It started with me feeling kind of uncomfortable from time to time when I was home alone. That feeling of being watched by something, for months. I got that feeling when I was alone. Eventually, my roommate and I started sleeping with each other. Bad move. It says bad move.
Yeah.
A few weeks later, some strange things started to happen. Mind you, she had recently divorced and was in a weird transitional phase, which I connect to all of this for some reason. She was a caretaker for dying old people, which I also kind of connect to this. Anyway, after a night together, she had to go to work that morning. I must have been a couple hours after she had left, but I was woken up by one of the bathroom doors connected to the bedroom slammed closed. I called for her, but got no answer. I didn't think anyone had entered because of how noisy the front door was. I would have heard her enter. Seconds later, I could hear heavy dragging sounds, almost like stomping feet, but a heavier, slow stride for about a minute. Then, for about 45 minutes, in 30-second to 2-minute intervals, I would hear this loud sound like someone was taking a marble and throwing it at the bathroom door as hard as they could. I was completely floored, scared, and couldn't bring myself to move. I laid there until she came home, but made no mention of the incident. It happened one more than 10 occasions, sometimes not as long. There was one other particular weekend I had the place to myself while she was out of town. I heard a bunch of fast-paced whispering really close to me that I couldn't understand. Then out of nowhere, I heard a very loud whisper right next to my ear say, "Hey," in a very intense voice. Once again, I didn't know what to do and was frozen. I'm so glad I don't live there anymore. Mm-hmm. There you have it. That's all kinds of creepiness. But the day has flown, the night has flown. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really sorry for the launch of the show, that it was such a ass grab, for lack of a better term. But I guess, we made it. Well, they say ass on regular TV, so
yeah,
I figure that's not too bad. But
they do a lot of things on regular TV anymore that I don't necessarily agree with.
I know, right? But what do you do? We're just evolving with the times, ladies and gentlemen. So
yeah, so are hairstyles.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm thinking this is about a good place to end it.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning shoveling snow.
Woo, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we got dumped.
Crazy.
We got a foot or more. Don, I think, had 14
at least
inches.
14 inches.
Yeah, up at his abode, and I think we're pretty close here. It had to be about a foot anyway here. Yeah. So one last hurrah, hopefully for the end of winter, but I think we're heading into spring here. So God willing, we will be. But thank you so much for spending your Valentine evening hanging out with us here on the portal. Again, sorry for the really crappy beginning, but I will edit that out in the YouTube archive as soon as it lets me. And so if you come back and watch again or pick up parts that you missed, it'll be there, and hopefully it'll be void of that technical difficulties. So love y'all bunches. Happy Valentine's Day, and hope you're having a great holiday evening, Valentine's evening.
Sure.
And we love you.
Tater Town. No, actually, we don't have many taters in Idaho anymore. Sorry.
What?
They asked where we were.
Tater Town.
Yeah. All right. So good night, everybody.
All right. Love you all. Be good. Be kind. And we will be back on Friday evening for more Portal. And Don again will be joining me on Saturday night for the Saturday edition. So
That's
That
true.
is on Friday and Saturdays at 10 p.m. Right here on YouTube or on tfrlive.com, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you happen to catch the show from. So we will see you then. Everybody take care. And if you have something to share, some paranormal experience, they went dead again, but I'm just going to continue talking. But if you've had a paranormal experience and like to share or some thoughts or feedback, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. So
All right.
take care, everybody. We'll talk to you all soon.
See ya.
Be nice, be kind. And until next time, let me get the credits rolling.